Okay, so in this particular clip, we're going to be talking about how you're going to size your Pepakura file to what you're actually trying to accomplish. This file has already been re-edited, so that way it's foam friendly, where you can see all the other garbage and stuff that would be good for using it for Pepakura, like the actual paper resining hardening version. Essentially, you chop it all off and you edit it all out. And then you have some really nice little clean patterns that you can just go ahead and, you know, essentially just print and then trace and cut out. But what we're worried about right now is sizing it to make sure it's the right size. So if you right click over on the side here, it gives you select mode, rotate, join, all that kind of good stuff. You go all the way down to the bottom, it says measure distance between 2 points. It's going to give it to you in millimeters. So you either know your millimeters, like you have a regular tailor's tape, and it has millimeters on one side and then inches on the other. So inches, millimeters. Or you can go ahead and pull up a internet file, internet folder, and just go ahead and type in millimeters to inches, and they do the conversion right there for you. So it gives you this little red dot that shows up, and then you can just go ahead and click one, click on the other. It tells you into millimeters between this point and this point. So there you go. Now it's a matter of getting the person or yourself and measuring, you know, how far along your chest you're going to be. You look in a mirror, or you get your buddy, you take a look, you're like, okay, so it's going to be 37 roundabout. So let's go ahead and see how this looks right here. So that's going to be 270 millimeters. And this is centimeters, so that would be 337 centimeters, right? So in millimeters, that would be 370 millimeters. So it's actually too small. That would be 27 centimeters right there. Okay. Literally, I'm carrying over the zero. It's, I mean, centimeters is hundreds, and millimeters would be thousands. So, you know, the whole period thing. I know Americans are silly, dumb, and stupid when it comes to metric, but it's helpful. Come down here. Let's go ahead and measure from the bottom here, and then all the way up to the top. That's going to be 327, so that would be 32 centimeters. Alright, so that would be not nearly, maybe. Alright. We're going to finesse with this and finagle off camera so we get all of our numbers right. But essentially, you just keep doing this until all the dimensions that you like match up. And then obviously this is going to be probably a little small. You're going to go into 2D menu up on top. Open that up. It says recalculate parts layout is what you're looking for. So when you click there, you can do one of two things. You can scale it, and all that kind of good stuff, or you can increase by a certain percentage, 5%, 10%, things like that. Or you can, I only mess with the height. When you get with width and depth, depending on the file, that might be, it gets difficult with 3D images. So I only mess with height because height is usually the, let's see, the width looks like it's the, alright, so on here width is 417 millimeters, okay? So so that's got to be from hopefully here to here. Let's see if that's accurate. No, that's not. So width on this file is actually from here to here. So that's going to be from down here to up here. That's 360. Oh, sorry. See there, these floating chest pieces? They deal with absolute values. So you're actually going to go from the very absolute bottom graphic to the absolute topmost graphic you can get your hands on. That's 412, so that's a little closer. That's so width, technically according to this file, is a kitty cat. Really see. Up here. Just playing through. So that's why you check. Alright, we're going to go off camera for a second, refutz with this, and I'll come back to you with some better answers. Okay, so after checking body sizes and measuring and all that kind of good stuff in centimeters, because you just need to add a 0 to this and you've got your numbers, we're looking at some values that we need to tweak. So for the person I'm making this for, he's actually my cameraman, he's 48 centimeters from clavicle to waist area. All right. So tall guy, long torso. So I only deal with one value because all the other values auto-populate immediately. So what I'm concerned about now is putting in actually 48 centimeters, but because of millimeters you add a 0. And there you go. Then you hit OK. Now that resizes all the pieces, including the stuff and junk that was off screen. All right, see, all of a sudden you get all this extra stuff. So you're gonna right click, select and move. Every single piece that you select, you can rotate this around. And you can see, okay, well that's gonna be one of the stanchions, this is another stanchion. Every single small piece you don't need. So essentially you can start grabbing stuff like this and just yanking it clean off and just put it off to the side. All the small pieces essentially are gone. Let's see. So this piece that's the front. All right, so we got that. That's the front. This is the center panel. All the little squiggly, like spaghetti-looking pieces. Those are all seams, but because we're doing this out of foam, we don't need to worry about that. So chucking all those, chucking that. The stanchions are gone. Gone. This. Alright. That. Alright. So let's go. Alright, so centerpiece good. Centerpiece good. Alright, chest. Alright. Chest, that includes the entire piece. Good. This is one of the buckle areas. There we go. This is one of the abdominal sections. This is, what is this? This okay, that's this piece right here. Okay, don't need that. That's garbage. This right here is that. Fantastic. This is sometimes too small to notice it. Oh, that's a seam. So you essentially just rinse and repeat, and then you can come back over here, start clicking on pieces. Okay, so that's my divot that I need. So you bring the divot back down. Let's see, what's this? That's a rib area. Okay, so I need that. That's the rib area right above it. Now the rib area on the other side, you don't need, because you already have the one. This is a mirror image. You're gonna slice this right down the middle, and you're good to go. So I mean, whatever pieces you use on this side, you can use over on here, and it saves paper. So we're good there. That's the center abdominal piece. Bring that down. Alright, there's flank. Alright, so we only need one flank, so we don't need the other. And through the magic of editing, by the time you see what I do next, all these pieces are going to be magically tossed over there. This is going to be that underpiece. That's how that's going to look. See how that lines up nicely here?
Yeah, for the arm.
This piece is going to then be
your buckle strap. You can't, I think it, yeah.
Well, I'm going to cut it.
Yeah.
And then subsequently
It should be.
Angle it like that. There we go. And you've got to cut the bevels in this. On the in, when you're cutting in or cutting out or whatever, you one shot at it. If you try to re-edit and recut after you've already cut your first line, the dynamic forces of the whole piece holding itself together aren't going to be there. So you're actually trying to trim floppy, flimsy stuff, and even if with the sharpest blade, you're still not going to be able to cut it properly. So it's a real pain in the neck. So you do it right the first time, or you
measure
don't do it at all.
Measure twice, cut once.
Exactly, measure twice, cut once. Okay, so when you're cutting your pieces, the order in which you cut the sides is very important. You want to make sure that, like this centerpiece I've already cut, you want to cut down, and when you finish your line, you want it to be into foam. You don't want to necessarily try to cross into a T-junction. So ideally, you would want to cut down, and then cut down again. Now granted, you're covering a T-junction and a T-junction where you've already previously cut. With a perfectly 4 square thing, I mean, that's going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen. Unless you start in the middle somewhere and work your way around. The only reason why I mention that is because when you go to finish your cut, it'll actually cause the centerpiece to warp and bend a bit when you cut. So you have to be really, really careful and make sure you have enough flesh on either side to keep it in place. Otherwise, if your blade starts to dull, it'll actually push and pull, tear, and when you glue it together, it's not going to match up right. So there we go. So this is what it looks like from here. You have a nice little bevel cut and knot there. See how the edges are all nice and clean. It's a sharp blade. You can go edge to edge and see how that gives you almost a 45-degree angle plating, which if looks a little too stark to me. That looks like it's a little bit too much. So we're going to probably just do just enough so when we put the other pieces in, they'll go in just fine. I mean, we're going to cut out the other pieces and see what we can do. Now that you know what angles to cut this particular piece out, now it's time to cut this piece out identically, the exact same way. Don't do all one side and then come back over and, oh, well, you can look at it and you can kind of see, and oh, did I mean to do 90, or is that supposed to be an undercut? I don't know. So it's just easier. Do your mirror image pieces with each other as you go along, and then you come back and you kind of just dry fit it. Like, okay, that looks like that's supposed to be where it's supposed to be. Alright, so right now I'm about to use some of the super glue to glue the EVA foam together. Make sure you wear your respirator so you don't smell this stuff. Safety video.
That's fine. You can just keep playing with the dog. Oh. Links. Links up here.
Links.
Links. Links over here. Look at all the links. Click on them. Click on the links. Click on the links.
We're totally cashing in on the cute animal likes. Yeah.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.